Best race I've ever seen live.
Her own.
Yeah, ever heard of her?
What happened at practice this week that you remember?
I can't remember.
We'll just say any race that you swam because you were there living.
Any race that I swam because I was there.
We are podcasting. Welcome to Social Cake. I'm Brian Lundquist. We got the full crew. Dr. John Mullen and his blurry background. Luke Paddington back from a long vacay or work trip or who knows what. And Emma Sticklen with her lovely colors down in Austin, Texas. What's up, Emma?
Hi, guys. What's up? Thanks for having me.
Welcome. We're excited to talk to you. But first thing, we always ask our audience if they have any questions for our guests. So we'll start by this one from Antonio46739 says, could you take a longhorn in a fight?
Could I take a longhorn in a fight?
Straight up.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to go with no, just because the way, like, I feel like I should say, like, yes, I can. But, like, they, like, whip their head around with those horns, you're done.
Real talk. Have you ever seen, like, Bevo in real life and up close?
Mm-hmm, yeah, sometimes whenever we get to go in the field for football games, they'll have him down there, and I'm like, he looks so cute. Like, are you sure he could hurt me? But I'm like, if you get him riled up, something could go down. Have you seen that video of him at the bowl game at UGA where he like tries to attack the bulldog? Yep. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I think that Uga died too in the last year as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. It's traumatizing.
That video gets me so hyped.
I'm okay with Uga dying. I've always thought it was so cool, those schools that had real mascots, because LSU had a tiger, but Auburn didn't have an actual tiger. That said, Auburn did have an eagle, and the eagle was badass because it would fly around the stadium at the start of football games, which is pretty awesome. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to any of the schools that have real mascots.
Go Boilermakers.
Wait, but do you guys have a train though, don't you?
Yeah, there is a little train that it like goes around campus and stuff. Boilermaker special, but I don't think they really bring it to too many sporting events. We have Purdue Pete, who has been deemed the creepiest mascot many years in a row. They recently switched him from like the black eyes to having pupils and things, but
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, those mascot competitions are weird. All right, Emma, skiing or snowboarding? Says Molly Kitrin.
Oh, I know Molly. Hi, Molly. Well, my brother-in-law and sister live in Colorado, and so I go there skiing a lot. But I haven't skied since I started college because I don't want to get hurt. But I only know how to ski. But when I'm retired one day, I'm gonna learn how to snowboard. So.
Nice. Yeah. I like that. What are the other things that you're not allowed to do because you're worried about getting hurt?
Just like I probably wouldn't roller skate or like ice skate or skateboard. Yeah, anything like that. We also aren't allowed to ride scooters for good reasons.
Yeah, I know. That was one that we weren't allowed to do either. And the second we were off the team, everybody got them. But I feel like maybe at Florida they're allowed to have them.
Mm-hmm. It depends on the school.
Do you think it's a swimming thing or other teams? Because swimmers are notoriously clumsy on land. Or other teams ban there. Like, are track athletes not allowed to, I don't know, do
actually, pretty much all the athletes like have them here at Texas. Like, it might just be a swimmer thing, the clumsiness. But also, you have to worry about other people, like cars can hit you and like other people just not paying attention. I feel like I've almost gotten hit walking by someone riding a scooter.
Totally. But the hack is it's parking. Campus parking sucks. And so having a scooter is such a hack to that because you can just like literally ride up next to the building. At least that's what I did once.
You can ask any of my teammates. We risk parking tickets every single day. Like we're always on watch. We're like, PTS guys outside, like go move your car.
Quick poll. Who is sprained their ankle walking? Just walking, especially like in taper. You just walk in and your ankle buckles.
I do that all the time.
No,
luckily I haven't sprained anything. Yes. Yeah.
No, but I had a moment right before long course nationals at Stanford, 2011. We were like I don't know, you're tapered and you haven't been lifting as much, and
Mhm.
everything's a little bit more sensitive as you get all more massages.
Yeah.
You're like dialing in, right? And so we were playing wall ball, just like throwing the tennis ball against the wall. And I remember like playing very gingerly, you know, I wasn't sprinting or turning too fast, but I ran up toward the wall and I hit something like a little puddle with some slippery surface. And I just kind of corrected with my heel. And then I could feel it in my lower back. And then I was like nursing lower back issues the rest of the meet, like, you know, immediate to the massage table.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely messed with me. And it's like, man, God dang it. Like, can't take me anywhere.
I know, we're not land creatures, that I have learned.
No.
Not at all. All right, Emma, this one's from Shoal Sack. Favorite tacos in Austin. Who's got the best tacos?
Why would you do this to me? I'm kidding.
Because everybody loves tacos and we all need to know.
I like rotate between a couple. I rotate between Taco Joint and Veracruz. Right now, my favorite, I'm gonna say Veracruz.
All right, but what are you getting at Veracruz?
I'm getting Amigas and I'm getting the El Tradicional. And you guys know what Migas is, right? I probably don't make fun of me. I don't know.
No, all John's brain is going to Migos. And he's the rap guy.
No idea what that is.
Migas is it's got eggs and tortilla chips in it, cheese, pico, and avocado, but like the crunch of the tortilla chips in it is like really interesting and different, and it's really good everywhere you go.
This sounds like a mix between nachos and chilaquiles.
Yes, that's actually a good way to describe it. And I always say that Migas is like the reason I committed to Texas, because they brought me a Migas taco from Taco Joint on my visit, and I was like, what is this? I had never had it before. It's like an Austin thing.
All right, so Emma Sticklen's love language is tacos. Good to know.
And coffee.
What about coffee? What kind of coffee?
The best coffee in Austin is Desnudo. If you guys are ever here, you have to go.
What's your order?
They have like these not weird, but like really interesting flavors. Like they have like a brown sugar miso, and I get that with oat milk, and the froth. It's just so thick. Okay, I'm gonna go get one after this.
Froth game strong. Luke's making espresso based drinks in his kitchen, but he's got.
I do that too. So. I make it all.
You have to.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
I love that. All right. This one's an inside joke from your pal, Ella D. Myers wants to know, how do your fits manage to eat so hard every time?
Yes. I love that, Ella. I love clothes and I love outfits and I love taking pictures in my outfits. And yeah, how do they manage to eat so hard? I just have good style.
All right, I don't know if this one's an inside joke, but I really liked it. This is from Sean Closier00. Says, when you beat someone, do you tell them they just caught a case of sickle cell anemia? Oh, roasted. Shout out Sean Clothier, sickle cell anemia.
That is not an inside joke. I've never heard that before. And I don't think I can ever say that to someone's face.
No, you couldn't say that. Nope. Because what if they have anemia?
Yeah, you
know.
never know.
That backfire.
Some would argue that the last 2 years at NCAA is Rachel Klinker, Alex Walsh. Some of them got themselves some sickle cell anemia.
Some would argue.
Oh my
really
gosh.
funny.
All right. That's it for the audience questions. Next time, give us a follow on at Social Kick Swim on Instagram, and you'll see the polls to send us some questions, and maybe we'll read them on the pod. But Emma, what's going on? Where are you besides Austin? What's going on in your life and the springtime? How are you? What's going on?
A lot's going on. I probably posted a lot about this. Like I have posted a lot about this on my Instagram, but I presented to Kendra Scott the other day. Was in the Kendra Scott entrepreneurship class. They offered that here at Texas, and they started it in 2019. So that's been the highlight of my week. I've just been riding that high. And that was one of my last undergrad undergrad classes at UT. So it's just like, what a way to end there. That was just great. Finished up a final yesterday. It wasn't that hard. Actually, it wasn't hard at all. I took it because
Humble brag.
class was easy.
So what was this? Was this an elevator pitch or a business plan for?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Tell us more.
It was basically like an elevator pitch. And my group and I had been working on it a little bit all semester, half of the semester. So we only had 5 weeks to do it. And that was like to encourage us to like get a lot done. And like with the time crunch, we were able to like talk to a lot of people about it, what we were doing, and get feedback. Even one class, the class would be on Tuesdays from 4 to 7 p.m., so 3 hours. But I never got tired when I was there because it was at the Kendra Scott headquarters in like one of their little conference rooms, and we had access to all of the break room snacks. That was good. Wait, what was I talking about?
Let's
The actual pitch.
Yeah, what did you pitch on? Was it a business?
Yes, I pitched a new like platform for NIL and like female athletes. Yeah, just because that is a space that we all know is like rapidly growing. It's like I was doing so much research on it. I'm like, I forgot that we have only been allowed to do this since July 2021. It's like 3 years old almost. And it's only going to grow so much from here on out. And so we're pitching some ideas to make that better. And we're pitching to not only Kendra Scott, but like a panel of other like CEO badass females. And they're like, we love this. This is awesome. And yeah, it was just super fun. Great experience.
Well, what do you think needs to happen then? What's the like kind of the core piece of the argument that you were making or the pitch you were giving?
The core
30
piece
seconds.
50 seconds. Yeah. One of my main arguments was for female athletes that have accomplished a lot. I kind of see myself in this category because I have won 2 national titles, but I don't necessarily have like the Instagram or social media following that I feel like other athletes may have. And I feel like NIL is very geared towards athletes with higher socials. And I kind of want to steer it in the direction of, being based off like accomplishments and things like that. So, yeah,
Love that.
If that makes sense.
No, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it? Go ahead, John. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, when I was in college, I did an elevator pitch on soy-based clay pigeons. So a little different realm for you. But I guess with NIL and, like you said, trying to have it more based off accomplishments for the athlete, that makes sense, I think, to us in the sport. But how would a business take that, in your opinion, and how would they utilize that?
Well, I think if I could give businesses like an opportunity to support female athletes like alone instead of like kind of separating us out from everyone else and being like, here is where you can support like Texas female athletes. I think that like, okay, wait, what do I want to say? I think that you can still give a business a lot without having like a bajillion followers. For one, like I don't have like, I have 5,000. 5,000 is a good amount, but like not near like what some others have. But I do have my own little niche set of followers, like, so I am like able to like influence like those people. But it's like, it depends on like, hold on, I kind of got lost.
No, but it leads me to the question of why would they be interested in supporting you? And is it like they're hoping that you, with your followers, would help promote them? But why isn't it the opposite? Why aren't they helping promote you and use your image in their own marketing and you're part of their engine? So why does it matter how many followers you have? It should matter how many followers Adidas has, and then use your name.
Yeah.
Or
I
are they
think like
attracted to using you in smaller companies? I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think like a lot of like bigger companies like that are interested in getting like the most, like well-known athletes or influencers or whoever it may be.
Yeah.
But I think there is a place for smaller athletes with like,
Yeah.
I mean, Adidas, for example, like could use
Yeah.
someone like me. They would
Yeah.
just, it's just kind of, I think, a little more difficult to find me. So that's kind of like what our app was like working on, like making it easier
Nice.
to find
Find you.
these athletes. Does that make sense?
Nice.
Yeah.
Lots of different things it was like our brains were exploding like the whole semester, like just talking about it.
Well, it's an interesting angle to take too, because I think there's a lot of the education, of course, if you're like part of the national team, or I'm sure at Texas, it's like standard to have some social media education, and probably as part of like some NIL and sponsorship over the last few years, there's also some support for like things that you can do, best practices for helping grow your social media following, right? So like, but the focus is, I would imagine, on like practices and procedures, and then how to grow it, but not so much to just like acceptance and how to lean into, some of the other areas that you can commercialize, you can, leverage your opportunities that maybe just don't naturally fall in your core interests, your skill set. Not everybody wants to do that either. So
yeah, I was also going to say that I had been really focused on like trying to get sponsorships for a while, like, right after I won my first national championship, I was like, oh my gosh, like I can do it now. Like I did it, but it still like actually turned out to be really difficult. But then I had my old club coach, Coach Andy, he coaches at Fleet in Houston. He asked me to do a swim clinic at Fleet, and it was super successful and really, really fun. And then I kind of saw that and like the effect that it had, or the effect that that it had on the kids and like and on me. And I learned, I was like, oh well, maybe I should be doing like what I'm actually good at, and what I'm actually good at is swimming and teaching swimming and talking to little kids. And so I've actually been in the process of setting up some more swim clinics in the Austin area, and hopefully next year in the fall as well, because it's really fun. And like I said, like it's what I'm good at. And I think that a lot of not just swimming, like lots of athletes could benefit from like doing stuff like that for the community and for their younger generations of sports. The opportunities, you just have to like dig a little hard to like get them.
You could also become a sickle cell anemia research advocate.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I like my Golden State Warriors, here we go, Golden State Warriors, is because, they're great players, but I like them as people, and I've got to feel like I know them. I feel like I understand who Steph Curry is and Klay Thompson, and swimming has a big problem of that, right? Swimming is cap and goggles, and we judge you by your time. There is Luke Paddington, he goes this time, that's the kind of, I label him right away based on his time.
Yeah.
What's your the time?
I wish there was a...
What does he go?
Really slow.
What event? 200 fly? I would love to know. You lost me now. Okay, yeah. I wish there was a platform where we could learn more about the athletes and know who they were. So somebody like yourself is prime for that. Yes, you are somebody who, the way you race your races, the way you are behind the blocks before and after your races, the way you seem to be your teammates, from what we see on TV, and I've seen you in person at NC's. Plus, two-time defending NCAA champion. Yes, that's great, but that's something that we need, that raw data, not just your times and who you are off the cell. And an app like that, like it's almost like a Facebook of who the person is, beyond the times. We need this in our sport.
Yes. And I think like you could argue you have Instagram, you have TikTok, but I think places like Instagram have become very curated.
For sure.
And a lot of people like don't showcase like themselves super naturally. Like I'm guilty of that as well. I'm like, this is just a curated dump of all of the best photos I've taken.
Correct.
We all do it. So yeah, that's awesome.
Agreed.
I'm glad you think so.
Well, what's going on in training?
So what have we been doing? Working really hard, I can tell you that. we went to the San Antonio Pro Series, and that was super fun. I love that pool. It was a great learning experience. I kind of went into that not putting any pressure, not expecting anything, because we just came off NCs and hadn't trained a ton long course yet.
How long was the break after NCs?
I took like a couple days here, like at the end of the week, to go to Myrtle Beach with my family. So that was fun.
That's it? A couple days?
Couple days.
Yeah. And it must be an Olympic year. Yeah.
Must be an Olympic year, right? But after San Antonio, we really got into training really hard, and I got like refocused, adjusted. I'm like, all right, it's time to go again. And for the past 3 weeks or so, I just feel like I've been crushing it, and I feel like I'm in really good shape, and I'm confident.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, 210 at San Antonio. Like you said, for taking a big break after NCs those 2 days, a pretty good time. So I guess what would you say you learned from that meet moving into trials?
I've learned. What have I learned? It's important to not freak out. Keep your head on straight. Because it could be easy to be like, oh my gosh, I want a 210. Like I need to be this because I want to go this at trials. But I just kind of took what I could from that race. And what did I take from that? That I just needed to train. I just need to train long course fly. Like that's really what I need to do. I was swimming that race and I was like, I feel kind of good. Like I don't feel like dying. I don't feel the way that I usually do after a 2 fly. But I finished and looked at the time. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Gonna need a little more experience under the belt. But I also took a look at my times from this time last year. I think it was at Westmont, and a little bit ahead of where we were. So I think like each season, like I just continually like chip away.
So for someone who's had so much success in the short course pool, not to discount your long course success too, but I think it just makes me wonder about like how training differs for you. What are some things that you can take with you that works really well throughout the college season and apply it versus what just, needs to go because swimming a 200 fly is different. It's X% longer of a race overall. It's taxing your shoulders in a very different way. You don't get to take advantage of as many underwaters. Does it make sense to spend as much time there? Like, how do you kind of think differently about, and what do you need for success in long course for short course?
Yeah. Well, we do know I love my underwater short course, and the same thing is actually true in long course. I do my best to make it to 15 meters off every wall, in the 200 fly as well.
Do you love them though? Be honest. Do you love them, or is it just a strength?
I do love them, and it is a strength. So both.
Nice.
And the reason is because I've actually tried it the other way. Like I've tried to do less underwaters before in a long course race, but it's more swimming.
Fact.
And also, it is more swimming. Come on. Fly is hard. I don't want to swim, but I don't have to.
Me neither. Luke can't.
Yeah.
No way.
But whenever I do my underwaters, they almost they reset me. Like it's a part of my rhythm. And whenever I'm under the water, I feel like it's very, it kind of relaxes me, it's kind of like I'm not meditating in my race, but like when you hold your breath, I feel like that's what it does for me. And yeah, it is just a part of my rhythm because whenever I don't do them, everything is just thrown off after that. But also you said something about going short course to long course. Yeah. So I didn't grow up with a ton of long course training in high school. So I trained a lot of short course. So I was a very good short course swimmer. But when I got to college, I that's why I was so excited to come to college and come to Texas was just to like get more long course experience and get better at that because I didn't have access to a long course pool. And in my in my summer after freshman year at Wave 1, I won Wave 1 with a 212 200 butterfly. And that was super awesome. And to be where I am now and look back on like how far I've come in like arguably like a short amount of time is so cool. And wait, what was I going to say about the transition? Oh, definitely. Long course is scary. I think it's scarier than short course. Whenever I walk up to the block short course, I'm like, got it. Like, know exactly what to do. But I felt kind of a difference in these past few months and year about long course where I don't feel that same kind of fear that I had about it before. And so I'm just really trying to apply that same mentality I have short course to long course. So
Yeah.
I had the same fear, by the way.
Don't we all?
Me too.
Yeah.
I guess I was going to go into underwaters, but I guess speaking of that fear, how do you conquer that fear? Do you think that just comes with training, or do you feel like you need to race it more and get a better race plan?
I do think it comes with training, because the more and more crazy stuff you put yourself through in practice, I get up to race a 200 fly. I'm like, this is, I got it. I have raced it a lot and I've gotten used to racing it, but I think in order to deal with like the pain aspect that comes with training, and lots of these practices that I've done recently, I get really tired at the end and like I feel like my stroke like starting to get tired, and Mitch will come over and be like, this is what you're going to feel like at the end of the race. And I'm like, okay. And then that really motivates me. Like I used to, like feeling when you're falling apart in butterfly and your mental just starts to go like this because you feel it happening. Yeah. But I've kind of trained the mentality now to know that when I start feeling that, like to get used to that and not be afraid of it.
I want to ask about your race plan for two fly. So Brian and I stood up next to Texas for 2023 final and just
Mitch and I were talking about that today.
we were right there. We got so caught up with that last 50 especially. And obviously your team was going nuts and Mitch was going crazy. Carol was quite excited, but Mitch and Carol must have known what you were doing and they must have seen something in your stroke and recognized what was happening and not too as surprised as the whole crowd was. Brian and John and I are going to Indy for trials and we get there on the 20th of June, which is the finals of 200 fly. When we see you racing and you're in the center lane, what are we looking for in Emma to know, dude, she's on it? Like, is it your hips, you're working your legs your last 25? Is it how your catches? Is your breathing changing? How are you racing a 200 flags? We know, don't worry, she's on it. Here she comes because she's looking good. Stroke wise, are you two fly long course? Yeah.
To know if I'm on it.
Yeah, if you're on it, like
there is I've kind of prepared myself to be ready for like any situation that can happen in a race like that. And there's like a lot of things like I think something I noticed at Knoxville, I really worked on it. I forgot at Knoxville. That happened. That went really well.
Celebrate it.
Let's celebrate it. I went at 2:08, almost the best time in January, February. That was really cool. But Mitch wasn't there, but he was texting me before, and he was like, if you're in front, don't freak out. Like, you belong there. And I was like, okay. Because I do feel like in the past, there's been this sort of like imposter vibe going on in long course with me. Like I have it down short course, but sometimes when I get to a long course, it would be like, and so I really focused in that race, and I was like second or ish at the wall. Summer was first probably. And I was like, just remember being like, I belong here, I belong here, I belong here, but not not sprinting the first 100, but just letting myself have the relaxed fast 100 that I know I can do. So I'd say definitely be on the lookout for that. And then I am on the last 15 meters underwater. I'll be the farthest. And really closing that last 25. And I've worked a lot on keeping myself very flat, because whenever I get tired, I like, we do the up and down thing, and my chest will go down super far. So I've been really working that like late release, very flat fly going in. I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely, it does. Now we're looking for you. Yeah.
So speaking of race strategy, so to go back at your yards races, so in 2023, hammered home behind Alex Walsh, amazing swim for the win. In 2024, like Brian was saying earlier, similar style coming back home, but on that race you were slower than last year, but still, like you said, got the title, got the win. So how are you swimming the 200 fly yards, and are you using the racers around you as part of your strategy, especially when there's so many Texas women in that race? Is it like, okay, I know where I need to be at the 150 mark, especially since I know my training partner so well and I know my strength, and you're Bobby Fink and everyone that last 50, or sickle cell anemia then at the end. I guess, how are you going through that, and what's the mental thoughts on the 200 yards races?
Yeah, that was definitely something I've thought through, comparing the 2 years. And yeah, whenever I finished to the wall this year, everyone knows my celebration last year versus this year. Very different. Last year, just like shock. Oh my gosh, I did it.
Let's go.
Yeah. And then this year was like, that's right.
Act like you've been there, Emma. Act like you've been there.
That's what some people were telling me. They're like, you do it. You got to act like you've been there. And I was like, okay. So one, that was a part of that Selly this year. But two, I looked up at the board and I was like, ooh.
I was wondering that. Yeah.
It's like 150, 99. Like, I got the job done. I'm super happy about that, but wanted to go a lot faster. But I have not even thought that much, because like I'm just so happy to have defended the title, But I was thinking about it a lot, and it was arguably way harder to do it the second time around than it was the first. I mean, they were both very difficult, but I had a lot of expectation, like from myself. No one was putting any on me. There was like, no expectations on you. I'm like, there's so much. What do you mean? But I had a lot of expectation on myself. Like, you think about it, I had a whole year of training going, like training and practice being like, okay, like, are you going to do it again? Are you going to do it again? Like that kind of thing. And I was very nervous leading up to that race, but also confident. And I think a part of me, like, I was just out a little too slow. That's all. Like, I said this in the post-race interview with Elizabeth. I was like, I'm such an emotional swimmer that I was almost trying to like control my first 100 so much, because I was so afraid that I was going to go out so fast, because I'm like, I'm defending this, and I did not want to have the race where I go out too fast and then can't come home. And so like it kind of resulted in it not being the time I wanted, but I did have a ton of energy at the end. So I hope that answers that.
So what does that mean, back to the long course piece then? Like, what can you learn from that result that you got, knowing the way that you were thinking about it and feeling coming into the race? Like, okay, you still got it done. Yes, you were feeling this like internal pressure, and that impacted the way that you ultimately ended up swimming. Like, what are some of the reflections that you have that you're going to take with you as you move forward into some other meets? Because you're obviously going to be in this situation again, whether that's the national team or trials or Olympic Games, and sitting here going, okay, like, A, have the confidence and not be afraid of the big pool, but B, like, be able to swim your race confidently. So just curious, like, what are the things that you're kind of moving forward besides just swim training? How are you thinking about the mental outside?
I think back to kind of what I said I worked on in Knoxville, like with what I learned from the first 100 at NC's this year was to be like, just don't try to slow myself down. Don't try to like, because I belong in the front and I belong with everyone else and everyone else belongs with me. And so like to let myself be out there, if I'm not, hey, that's fine. Like we know I'm a great back halfer too. But if I am out there, just own it and be confident and do it. Like, it's like, it's easier said than done. Like I just
Definitely.
don't like slow myself down and just go with the rhythm that I know. And I don't, I think at NC I wasn't really swimming with that rhythm in the first half, if that makes sense.
Hey, you mentioned something about like in practice that what happens when you fall apart at the end of a set in butterfly, that like, piano falls on you. But have you ever tried that in a race? I mean, do you know, like you're sitting here talking about like, okay, well, I went out a little conservatively, but even though I know I can trust my back half, have you ever tried that in a meet? Like gone out to see where the limit is?
Actually tonight we have low stakes for tonight because we are swimming some races at Fast Friday. You guys know Fast Friday, just our race practice. And I'm swimming 100 butterfly and a 200 fly, and like it's not a meet, and so I think tonight I'm going to just see what I can do, see how it goes with that, because I don't have the external pressure of being in a meet or anything like that.
Well, what do we need to do to up the pressure so that you feel some pressure and got to do it under the nerves? Do we need tacos on the line? Is that what it needs to do? We need to line up some tacos right on the outside so you get them if you go fast, and if you die, you don't need to eat.
No, don't worry. It's 200 fly. Like I'm nervous for sure. Like the pressure's there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always like, I'm not nervous.
Who wouldn't be nervous for a 200 fly? I get it.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Luke.
I was going to say, talk more about your training environment, because a little while ago you talked about how you're feeling so good, you're in shape, you're on fire, training's going really well. And, I'm interested in your 200 fly environment with Kelly and Olivia. And what's the vibe like now? And have you had anybody new join the group since Bob's come over? Because a lot of pros have been starting to come over. What's the vibe on deck with you guys, in the 200 fly group especially? Yeah.
So Bob I haven't trained with any of Bob's swimmers at all. Actually, they train at a completely different time than we do. I think he's doing his best to like keep them separated and get them ready for trials. And then I think after trials we'll start like making the transition into that. Our training group, best training group around. I'm glad that I have girls like that that can push me the way that they do, because if I was like the best, like if I was like the only flyer and I was just winning everything all the time, winning every set, like I feel like that's great, but I think it keeps me humble because like I don't win every set. It's like depends on the day, honestly. It depends on what we're doing, and it keeps you really humble and keeps you honest and keeps you working and like driving forward. I think that's definitely the way I would describe it.
You guys are very close as a family, and you wrote a comment that Carol knows who you are as a person, more as a swimmer. And we've had a few of your teammates on. We've had Erica, Lydia, Kelly on, and they all have quite different. I mean, Lydia never does more than 5K before she joined Texas, and Kelly's a workhorse, and Erica is Erica. Talk about how your coaches would be like, would Mitch tell you something and then turn to the side and tell Kelly something and be a different person? What's the dynamic of your coaching staff and your swimmers and all your swimmers you have on, all the personalities?
I don't, they're not telling us like all the same thing. Like they know each and every person and what each and every person needs so well. And I really appreciate that about them. And I also have to give them credit for being able to train us all at the same time, like being as good as we are, like it would be so, and in the same event, like it would be so easy to just train me, like, and tell me what to do, but instead, like, you have to train us like all 3, 4, like equally and like the same, but also give every person like what they need. Like I don't ever do the same thing as like Kelly and Dakota necessarily. Like tonight at our fast thing, I saw like Dakota's doing something else. Like I'm doing this, and then Kelly's doing some freestyle and fly. So it's all very like individualized, and I do appreciate that it's not all like one mold. Yeah.
But like you said, you love swimming with the fly group because you love being pushed. And I think one thing we don't talk about in like on these interviews or with people is like who's winning what types of sets. Because when you're in such a great group, you know everyone has kind of strengths and sets that they're really good at. So I guess what sets are you really good at? What sets are maybe some of your teammates really good at? And then we had one audience question wanting to know what's your favorite set, which may go together with that.
Yeah. Okay. This is actually goes hand in hand with that, what I was saying earlier, and which was when Mitch was like, this is what you're going to be feeling after at the end of the 2 fly, was those really high volume days where you're kind of doing like 200s and 300s freestyle and butterfly, and you've got some fins on. Like, it's just like, it's not like 50s pace. Those are the days that I kind of struggle with. Okay. But if you give me a 50 set, I can do 50s pace all day long, and I love doing them too. Not even just pace, just like sprinting. But yeah, my favorite set. What did we just do? I can't remember what I had for breakfast, honestly.
Well, maybe
but I will tell you.
Oh, go on.
I was gonna say, I'll tell you what we did on Wednesday morning, and that really got me. I was tired. So we did like 2 100s, drill, build, free, mix and fly, and then the main part was 4 50s on a minute. And I looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, like what? Like, no problem, guys. But Mitch wanted me to do doing them freestyle and then fly and then free fly on the 50s. But he wanted us to go on the freestyle what we went in the 50s fly. Sorry, I'm not explaining this very coherently. Let me start over. So 4 50s, 1 free, 1 fly, and the fly is going what you want to come back in your 100. So for me, like 30, but I also need to go 30 on the freestyle. So 30, 30, 30, 30. And I've done sets like that, but I've done it like 200 pace. So I'd go like 32, 33, 33, 33, 32 around in there. But I don't think I'd ever done it for like for 100 pace, and the freestyle got my heart rate up so high. and we did the whole thing 3 times also. And that was really challenging because I think like freestyle gets my heart rate up really high, and butterfly can't do that. Like I will break down in butterfly before I can go get my heart rate up that high. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like a muscular breakdown versus cardio, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to ask how much fly you train, because we've had a number of flyers who say we don't like to swim fly unless it's perfect technique. I don't like to swim bad, slow fly even. You know, all my fly has been looking really good. How much fly do you think you train in your main set, like 50% of the time? And then is that different to overall practice? Like, do you do warm-up fly, drill fly? Like, what percentage of fly do you train?
I train a lot of butterfly.
Really?
But
90%.
90?
But okay. So we have 3 fast practices like a week that we focus on. Monday, Wednesday, Friday afternoons, now it's summer, so we do our fast practices in the morning. And on those practices, I do focus on butterfly a lot. And then like the afternoon practices, and Tuesday, Thursdays, we kind of loosen, kick set, some fly drill in there. But a lot of my boulders, what we call our hard practices, are butterfly. So I would say like probably like 70% butterfly. And then I get a couple of times, if I'm really like down in the dumps, tired, and my butterfly looks not good, Mitch will be like, all right, switch to freestyle. But that hasn't happened in a long time.
John, when my 200 fly will look really bad, I'll just kick breaststroke. It's legal. God. You can kick breaststroke in a 200 fly as long as you're consistent for the whole 200 fly. It's legal to kick breaststroke because butterfly came from breaststroke.
Luke, let's hear your best PR 200 fly long course. What was it?
When I was 5 years old, that was probably my best time.
You did a 200 fly?
Probably, I don't know. I swam the 100. But I want to ask, you're 5 weeks out. We're 5 weeks out or so from trials. Do you have any idea of like a macro cycle? Like we got 2 more weeks of hard work, then we're coming down. We're doing the same we normally do for every trials. Are you changing things up? What's the next 5 weeks looking like?
I'm getting my schedule out.
All right.
Just screen share it right here. That's fine.
Let's start calendars.
So yeah. Oh, okay. This week we were like yellow week. I don't know. Green weeks is what we call our high volume, high intensity. So we just did 2 green weeks the last 2 weeks, but this week was yellow. So it's still very intense, but less volume. Mm-hmm. So that's like that 450 set I was just talking about.
Yeah.
That was pretty low volume, but very, very intense. Next week is high volume, high intensity again. Right. And then the week of the 13th, we are swimming the Elite Invite. So I'm really excited about that. And then it looks like we go 2 more green weeks after that, kind of prep and start prepping, coming down after that.
Coming down in June. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of like, I know I had to pull it out because I was like, I know what the schedule is, but I really am a person that just kind of takes it day by day. And I can't think about it all. I'm just like, what do I have to do today to get better?
And with coming down in taper, are you the type of 2 flyer that does come down a lot, or do you keep the intensity and volume still pretty high?
I keep the volume and intensity pretty high because I like to feel like I need to feel like I can finish a 200 butterfly. Sure. Like I need to feel in shape for that for sure. Yeah. I think short course is a little different, but long course, I think, I need that like training.
Hey, I have a question for all of us. Do you all prefer to know what's coming or just show up on deck and then get told? Like every Monday and Wednesday, I knew it was 31s and 140 heart rate, and I knew what it was going to be. And I hated Mondays and Wednesdays, but at the same time, I changed eventually and got psyched for it. Do you guys like to be prepared for what Wednesday is going to bring? Or do you like to be on deck and like, come on, I'm ready? You want to be prepared or you?
It depends. They always tell us what we're doing on before Fast Friday, which I think is good because that's kind of like our race practice. But Mondays and Wednesdays, I know that it's going to be hard. I don't exactly know what it is though. So I do come on deck and then read the set.
Okay.
I think I don't need to know every detail unless, like Emma's talking about, that there were like some race, some hard set or something like that. Like I want to know if it's going to be really hard, what it's going to be, so that I can mentally prepare for it throughout the day. Yeah. So those are fine, but when it comes to like recovery days, then I don't really care what we're doing, and I don't need to know in advance.
Yeah, I don't know. I do like kind of being surprised because then if I know what I'm doing all day, I'll be like, oh gosh, like that's gonna be hard. Like,
okay, but does Mitch do that thing where you're expecting to do like 8 reps and then you get the 8th one done and then everybody gets out and then they're standing at the whiteboard and there's like a pep talk and they go, okay, we're gonna go 2 more or like 1 more, and then they do it again.
He's never surprised us like that. Usually whatever's on the paper, like we're doing, but in between, if there's usually a couple parts to the main set, he'll get us out after each one and explain it again. And then we kind of like rest a little and then we get back in and do it. If anything, have taken stuff off. Like I feel like Mitch will usually like write too much and be like, oh, actually we're not doing that. But yeah, he's never been like, another one. Yeah.
Good.
I have a question about the philosophies and training 200 fly, and John is kind of towards you. So John's from 200 fly, and I trained a couple USRPT sets with him where it was like, John, what we do, like 20, 50s on a minute, holding, whatever, 30s, whatever. And you would just do that. And you're going for your 200 fly then. And that was your method of just going like consistent hard work for 50s for like 20 of them. What's the different philosophies behind training for 200 fly, and where does Texas fit in? Is it Minikov? It's not a Minikov way. I mean, Minikov doesn't do much fly at all, but he can go 139. It's not that way. It's not the USRPT way. What's the different ways that people train for 200 fly, and where does Texas fit in, John? Do you know? And then Emma follow up.
Where Texas fits in, Emma might have to fill in the gaps there. But
exactly.
As far as different training, I mean, I think you hit most of it. I think, traditional view was, tons of fly, even if the stroke was falling apart and things like that. But I think with, more current trends toward training, it's maybe not as, much towards Minikoff of barely doing fly, but making sure when you are doing fly, it is with more technique that you're going to be using during your race, and not just, garbage yardage or falling off. But there still are some camps that still do a lot of volume butterfly, and obviously there's some athletes that can maintain their 200 fly, race pace and their stroke patterns pretty close, even with a lot of volume.
Yeah.
So Emma, what do you tell us about Texas?
Texas definitely falls into the category of doing it well with technique. Like Mitch does not want us to look like ugly. I would call it.
We're not going to clip that, by the way.
He doesn't want us to look ugly.
One armor, yeah.
But there are some times where like I do feel like if it depends, I guess, on the practice and the week. Sometimes if I start to break down, he's like, okay, mix some free in there. Versus like there's some other practices where he's like, practice this is what you're going to feel. And then I kind of said that earlier. And then I start like, oh yeah, he's right. And then I like get back on it. But yeah, we fall into the category of not a ton of volume fly. Garbage.
Sorry, John, I know you got one, but I was going to jump in on this real quick. As you were talking, to bring it back to what you said, Emma, about the way that you close a race, like the most likely thing to happen is a muscular fatigue, but not necessarily aerobic thing. And I think like that kind of component then, Luke, comes into what the training is catered towards. So if you're the type of person who is going to fall apart, like if you really need to train the aerobic engine and it's not going to be a muscular fatigue that's overloading you or is likely to limit you in the last like 50, 75 of a race, then I think that can change what you're focusing on. But like to Emma's point, like she's highlighted that her issue or the likely thing to happen is like a muscular fatigue, and therefore finishing with technique becomes priority versus just like finishing or doing more aerobic work. So yeah.
You said it so much better than I did.
I'm better at talking, not swimming to fly.
But this is, I think,
that's what I meant.
There you go. That's what he said. But that is part of the bigger debate, especially as training thoughts like wean and wane. It's like, oh, we should only do perfect technique fly. Yeah. But what if you do go out too fast? What if you are that athlete that's going to be hitting your muscular barrier at 150? If you never train at all during fatigued states and patterns, how will you know what to work on and what to focus on? Because we know those opportunities happen to every swimmer, especially in a race like 2 fly. Like you said earlier, Emma, you go out quick. You need to embrace it. We know the worst thing is to slam on the brakes on an event like 2 fly early on because it's hard to get that momentum going again. So being able to be comfortable with that and know what to focus on when you are starting to hit that wall, even if you have 40 meters left of it.
Yeah.
But going back to underwaters, you mentioned earlier, like that's your Zen place are the underwaters. I guess what would you tell our young athletes or other swimmers what to focus on or how you can get to that point with your underwaters, especially at the end of like a 2 fly yards going 10, 15 meters off that wall?
Yeah. Consistency and discipline I've been doing underwaters. So these younger kids, they're in club. Like I started when I was their age, and I haven't stopped since. And so like it's like, oh my gosh, like she's so good at underwaters. Like how does she do that? It's like I've been doing them since I was 14. Our coach we would do this thing. I don't know if other club, I mean, it's like 6-2-3. It's like 6 underwaters. Don't breathe off the second stroke and then breathe every 3 after that. Or we do like 4-2-3, so 4 underwaters. And then, yeah, it just depended. But I'm always doing more than 3 underwaters off of every wall. Like probably, yeah, I'm always doing something. I never give up in practice on the underwaters. That's for one. I would just tell them, what would I tell them? Yeah, I already kind of said it. Just to be disciplined in practice and do like start with 3, and then once you get good at 3, then you can do 4 off of every wall, and then you can do 5, and then but you have to do it like incrementally. You can't just start big like all at once, but you do have to do it every single time for every single wall, and you can't expect to be able to do that in a race. It's like the same stuff. Like you won't be able to pull it off if you don't practice it like that. So yeah.
Hey, I don't know if you're a student of the sport, but I am for sure. And when I think of iconic 200 fly races, I can think of Mary T's record. I can think of Misty Hyman coming back and winning, beating Susie O'Neill, Modern Butterfly. You think of Chad coming back and Michael, or Chad going out and dying. You think of, even Ilya Karun now, what's he doing in his races and how he won his worlds. And I also think of you, how you came back in Alex races, some very iconic races. Is there a swimmer, a 200 fly swimmer or a race that you kind of motivates you, you remember, or you have looked up to or modeled? Old, new, male or female? Is there anybody out there?
As you were saying all of those races, I was like, I don't think I've seen any of those.
Oh, looks so old. That's the thing.
So old.
Ilya Karun, I mentioned. Ilya just won it last year. Come on.
I know. I'm just giving you shit.
But now I need to watch. I need to go watch.
I think Emma 200 fly.
I watch my own race a lot.
I said that. Emma come back at Alex was very much amazing race. Okay, cool. It's good.
Watch your own.
That would be motivational to me, I think.
Yeah, I said so. Yeah.
Stay in your own lane.
I did. This isn't like it kind of is inspirational, but whenever I go, the other day I actually watched my 200 flies from my freshman year NCs and my sophomore year, and then I watched the, last year's and this year's, and I just like was like, oh my gosh, come so far and learned so much, and like done so much work on the mental side to believe that I could do those things. So yeah, honestly, it's not to be like self-centered. No. I'm kidding. But I do think back to myself before, and like I love that little girl and like the enthusiasm and the belief that she had in herself to like do those things. Like, and like I used to think that I was like crazy, or like could I actually do these things like I thought I could do, and then like I did them, and yeah, it's just crazy.
Man,
Yay!
I love that. Who knew you'd be talking about your former self in the third person as a 2-time NCAA champ?
I know anything I do, I'm like, she's so proud. Because I grew up going to those zone and national select camps and was so inspired at those, and they would tell you, they'd be like, oh, like certain percentage of you is gonna go on to make the national team or make the Olympic team, and I was like, it's me, I'm gonna do it.
That's awesome. That's so cool to know that you had that attitude from a young age. All right, Emma, we'll got a few rapid fire questions and then we'll let you go.
There's more?
Oh yeah, we got a few.
Never ends.
We'll go quickly. What's the hardest race in swimming?
We argue about this a lot. Turner backstroke.
Olympic gold or world record?
Olympic gold.
Do you pee in the pool?
Yes.
What are you reading or watching right now?
I'm reading the story, which is the Bible told in story form.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a physical book, not an audiobook. Yeah.
Not an audiobook.
Awesome. What is the best race you've ever seen live?
Best race I've ever seen live.
Her own.
Yeah, ever heard of her?
What happened at practice this week that you remember?
I can't remember.
We'll just say any race that you swam because you were there living
Any
it.
race that I swam because I was there.
That's right. All right. This one's from Muller Sports Psych. Shout out. Favorite moment swimming with Texas?
Favorite moment swimming with Texas. We always talk about our NC State and UNC dual meet travel trip that we went on my sophomore year. We got really into line dances that year. That was like our first year, and we like line danced at our away meets, and that was really fun.
Yeah,
we still do.
We like the line dancing routine. It's cool. It's a fun tradition. It's like a takeover too.
That's the time where like I felt like it took off.
Yeah, that's right. Still on fire. All right, this one's from Miss Rose 246. What's the most important part of your pre-race routine? What do you got? What do you do?
Coffee, beets, and water.
Okay, well, what
Those
else?
are some things that you should eat and put in your body. And the second thing you should do is you should meditate a little bit. So whenever I'm about to walk out into a race, I like, if there's a wall behind me, I like have my hands on my knees and my feet flat on the ground, and I'm just closing my eyes and I'm like really calming myself down.
Love that. Find a little chi before you get underwater and continue that chi.
All zen. Keep it zen.
All right, this one's from Evan Mart 14. Wants to know, what's the coolest pool that you've competed in?
The coolest pool that I've competed in was in Barcelona when I went to Mare Nostrum. Either that one or the Canet pool in France. That was like the most fun meet I've ever been to, and coolest pools.
I love that. All right, what's the race that you're most excited to watch at trials or the Olympics? That's not your own.
That's not my own. I can't say myself. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
I'm really excited to watch some of the sprint freestyle events. Those are always like a huge toss-up. You have so many names, and you're just like, who's gonna do it? And I feel like at meets like this, anything can happen. Like at every other meet, you kind of know, oh, it's gonna be this person. But I'm just really excited to see who pulls through.
All right, last one. How often are we doing social kick in this 2-fly group at Texas?
Every day, dude.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
Ended my boulder with social kick yesterday.
Hell yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
See, we knew that we'd be welcome at Texas. Emma, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We're looking forward to watching you in the big pool, but obviously lots of fun to watch you in your career thus far. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
That's it for this episode of Social Kick. We'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, thanks for hanging out with us. If you're enjoying Social Kick, tell your friends about it, and be sure to tell us what you liked by leaving a comment, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Social Kick, and you can find all of our content on our website at thesocialkick.com.